Hey, welcome back, everybody. Of course, you know me. My name is Dr. Keith McNally, and this is the Question Guide podcast. I'm here with Carolyn CJ, and we're going to get into that in just a bit. Carolyn Jones is back because she wants to talk to us about what it means to have gratitude. And so, a lot of people these days talk about having gratitude and writing gratitude journals, but CJ is authentic in how she approaches what it means to have gratitude and why it's important for her. And we're going to share that story today. CJ, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Keith. It's nice to be here.
Let's go ahead and get into this conversation because you aren't always grateful for things. And something happened in your life that changed all that. And we need to get into that a little deeper this time. Talk to me about that.
Okay. Well, first, I'd like to give you an example of what I was like about with gratitude.
Okay.
Now, one day I was walking to a noon meeting and I saw my roommate coming toward me from an 11 o'clock meeting, and we stopped and chatted. I asked her what the topic of her meeting had been, and she said gratitude. I paused. I thought for a minute. And then I said, gratitude, gratitude again. I'm so sick of gratitude.
Oh my gosh.
I was so
Why?
irritated
Why?
that I couldn't see anything with gratitude.
Okay.
Fast forward 2 years to where I'm traveling in my van RV that I gutted and rebuilt from Denver to Baja. It's dusk. I'm getting tired. I see an RV park on my right here, so I pull in. Come to find out it's their Christmas party that night. If I bring a gift to give, I can take one home with me.
Okay.
Oh, Keith, I was so excited because here I was traveling on the road and there was no way for me to get Christmas presents from anyone. So I was thrilled. So I went home and found something, came back, and the first thing I noticed was everyone's package was lavishly wrapped, and mine wasn't. I felt really out of place.
Okay.
The next thing I noticed was everyone was drinking wine. I felt really out of place. But I stayed because I really wanted that gift. When it came my turn to pick mine out from underneath the tree, because I had asked God for something small that I could use in the van, I saw a small box about the size of a VHS tape. And I said, this is it. So I picked it up and I shook it. It rattled. So I ripped open the paper and looked at the what was in it. Wonderful. Probably the only alcoholic in the whole bunch, and I get these stupid little wine glass stem markers. I can't use these. I'm going to go home and throw them away.
Oh.
So I went back to the van and I threw them away. Then I sat down on the floor and sobbed and sobbed and sobbed.
Well,
And
why?
because I didn't get a gift that
But
I
you
could
did,
use.
but you did get a gift.
I did get a gift, but I couldn't use it. So I was very upset about that.
Okay.
I felt sorry for myself. And it wasn't something I could use. So finally, a voice said to me, Carolyn, Carolyn,
Mhm.
look around the van at what you created when you rebuilt this and take pleasure in that. And then think again about the wine glass stem markers. So I did. I looked around the van and looked at how the varnish shined and reflected like a mirror until I got up to the kitchenette area where I had 3 cabinets there. So 6 doors.
Mhm.
And I said to myself, there are 6 doors. Six, six. I couldn't get six out of my mind until I realized, I know. I can take each wine glass stem marker and put it on the door handle and have Christmas decorations in the van.
There you go.
Oh my gosh. Well, I had to immediately thank God and apologize because I had railed at him a little bit there for a bit.
Mhm.
And that was what my first introduction to gratitude was, because I learned that things are not always what they seem.
Ain't that the truth?
We can look at things in different ways. If we're patient enough and want to know a different answer, wait, and something new will come to us, perhaps. That's what happened with me, at any rate.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Yeah,
Once you had that kind of transformation experience, how important was it for you from then on to really look at things differently and to be grateful for things?
actually, I was a little more grateful, but not fully grateful, not living in gratitude
Well, it's a
at that
process.
point.
It's a process.
Right. But what did get me to live in gratitude was 3 questions I found in a book by Dr. Fred Luskin, who's a PhD psychologist and a worldwide forgiveness expert. Those questions are, when you're resentful or anything like that, when you're feeling low, if you ask these 3 questions, they are, what's the lesson I learned from this? What's the positive that has happened because of this experience? And finally, what can I be grateful for? I was thinking about the unrequited love rejection when I did those questions. I had been in grief over that rejection for 7 years. When I repeated those questions and worked through them, I realized there were 4 things that I was grateful for that were positives in my life. And one was, it pried me out of a dysfunctional alcoholic marriage, got me sober, led me to forgive my parents, led me to the forgiveness work I'm doing today. And later on, I realized that it allowed me to write my forgiveness book.
I love that.
Yeah. And so from that point on, I started living in a state of gratitude. And the start of it was the wine glass stem markers.
So it's a daily thing. You have to wake up thinking about being grateful. How do you do this on a daily basis so that one, you look forward to it, and two, it doesn't get old? Is there a secret to that?
Perhaps it's the incredibly satisfying feeling that I get when I do experience gratitude. And so I like to stay in that mind frame, that frame of mind.
Mhm.
And that's how I do it. I just wake up and I'm grateful to be there, grateful to be alive.
Some people I know really look at this as I gotta find something because many people wake up normal, they have breakfast, they go to work, they come home, and they don't really think about it much until, like you, they make it a conscious effort. And so sometimes it could be something as simple as, um, I received a new pair of socks, or I was able to buy a new pair of shoes, or I was able to share a conversation or a cup of coffee with a friend. And they start looking at themselves and their life very, very differently, just like you, because they recognize that not being grateful is not where they want to be. Is that true?
Yes, yes,
Can you talk to me about that?
very much so. That's true. What I realized was it's the little things, like the little blooms on a plant
Mhm.
that you see outside, or in seeing an older couple holding hands and being grateful that you're able to witness that long lasting love.
Mhm.
I guess I've always had a penchant for having hope in my life, hope that tomorrow would be better than today. And I've carried that with me, but I just never included gratitude with it until, as I just told you, you know,
Mhm.
that all happened.
So let's put this in the perspective of somebody else. When
Okay.
you talk about having gratitude and you show it, how then can somebody really fully appreciate the importance of having gratitude in their own life? What are some of those transformational things that go on in a person where they learn that it's important to be grateful?
Mm,
What are
that's a
your
great question.
what are your thoughts on that?
I can take it back to when I lived for 30 years as a very miserable person. And it was a hangover from my childhood. I kept what happened, the bad things that happened, the difficult things that happened, I
Mhm.
kept them alive through my
From your
constant
childhood? Really?
from childhood. For 30 years, I did, and I was very resentful and bitter over it.
Mm.
And I drank heavily over it. Let's see, where am I going with this?
Well, it's
So,
important. Go ahead.
so I wasn't a very happy person. Turn it around when I began to be grateful. The feeling was so exhilarating, so cleansing, so all fulfilling that I want to live and be in that space so that the unhappiness drops away.
That gives you hope, or at least in part, it gives you an inspiration to kind of step into the next day. I guess looking forward to something that you can be grateful for, whether it be, a home cooked meal or the roof over your head or whatever that you're doing. And of course, your books as well, because you're an author.
Yes.
How can you share that element of hope with somebody else? How can you give them hope that things are going to be good?
I believe in a force greater than ourselves, whatever you want to call that force.
Okay.
I call it the universe and spirit.
Okay.
Spirit's always there for us. The universe is always there for us. And because of the laws of attraction, when we put out a positivity, the universe responds by sending us more positive things to be positive about. And so that snowballs and it just grows. So if you have a little iota of hope that the day will go well, for example, today is going to go well. I hope that it does. And go forth in the day and keep in mind that you're hoping that the day will go well. So, what can I do to make it go well? And one of the things that I can do, or that you can do, audience, is be grateful for something.
So you actually have to put some action and some effort into finding things to be grateful for. That's,
Sometimes,
yeah.
sometimes,
And I think that's important because if you don't do that, then you're not going to find it. You're not going to see it. You're not going to experience it. And you've just told me that it's in that experience that you really find out how beautiful life is.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, well put.
So before we close this conversation, I want you to give something, tell our audience something valuable that they can feel and learn and see how important it is to be grateful.
Okay,
Please?
I'm going to stick with the hope thing.
Okay.
And HOPE is an acronym that stands for two things. Hold on, pain ends is the first thing that HOPE stands for.
Hmm.
And the second thing it stands for is hold on, possibilities emerge.
Where
And
did you
they,
learn those two? I like it.
I think I saw them on Facebook or something like that.
That's cute.
Yes.
Did they help you?
Yes, it did, because it reminded me that the universe is always there to get my back and will respond with what I put out there to it. It'll give me that back in kind.
Cool.
And
CJ, go ahead.
yes,
Go ahead. Go ahead. I
oh,
want you to finish your thought.
I don't remember what it was.
That's okay. Then I appreciate this conversation. You are a blessing to have on the show. And I love those two acronyms on hope. And so for our audience who's listening and watching, today's the day to put hope in your life. This has been Dr. Keith McNally, another edition of the Question Guy podcast, and I'll see you next time. Take care.